Hello people, this is Mark from Changeworks. Guys, hope you're well. As you can see on the reflection of my face, and yeah, I didn't shave for a couple of days, and quite frankly, I don't care. I want to talk to you about something that I've noticed in the healing recovery phase of the breakaway from the corrosive relationship that I was involved in, and I want to talk to you about this. As an objective point of view, this is what I've seen. And I'm going to refer to this as the Avalanche Effect. I want you to, in your mind's eye, consider what an avalanche is. As you know, it's snow on a mountain, very high, and all of a sudden something happens that disturbs the snow right at the summit, and then it starts to come down, and by the time it hits the valley at the bottom, it is a massive destructive force that takes out everything in its way. That I want you to consider as far as the abuse of a corrosive, toxic, destructive, antisocial behavioral type kind of relationship that you may or may not have experienced, or you are out of it, or you know someone that's in such a relationship. Consider this. Just like the avalanche, it's lying dormant for quite some time. Nothing disturbs it. In the relationship, things are dormant. There is this phase where the narc will gather their information to see how you react to certain prods and pokes, stimuli from different angles to see how you react. In my mind, it's an information gathering, it's a reactive thing, it is a behavioral observation to see how you behave when they behave in a particular way to provoke you to some kind of reaction. But there is no movement in terms of this avalanche is concerned. The minute you, as the prey, the victim, the minute you react to it, they know what button to press to get you emotionally, psychologically, mentally, maybe even physically, to get you going, because that button has been pressed. In exactly the same way, when that button is pressed on the avalanche, it starts to make its descent down the valley. It is now in process and progress of a destructive end at the valley down below. Just like this avalanche, in the beginning there is no observed destruction because it is so high and the avalanche is just starting to make its descent. The narc, the sociopath, the narcissistic sociopath for that matter, also does little subtle things. But that avalanche is on the move. There is only one outcome. You know exactly what that is. And then all of a sudden, maybe 6 months down the line, something else happens. And that avalanche is now gradually, very subtly, very slowly gaining momentum. And in my case, this is the observation. Over time, those incidences of stimulation to provoke a reaction becomes narrower and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, and eventually it was virtually every single day where something happened, something was said, something didn't happen, and this slide of destruction was gaining momentum even more than before. And eventually it hits its target. You will end up being completely run ragged. You will end up having a nervous breakdown. you will end up going totally insane. Your life will feel like it is so out of control that you have got no idea how it got there. Just like me, I had a hairline that was down to here. I am now receding because I was doing this all the time, thinking, what the hell is going on? The avalanche effect. Once that button has been pressed and that thing is coming down, there is very little to stop it. Observe the stimulation, those provoked actions and behaviors and language that comes out. The smear campaigns, the criticism, the fault finding, the name calling, the triangulation, all these kind of things that happen in that descending phase. That's all I want to say. My friend Kay, I've mentioned him in a video or so before, he mentions this very same principle by like this: it is death by a million cuts. And when I spoke to Kay about this some months ago, he talked to me about it in these terms. At first it's a paper cut. It doesn't really hurt that much, but it's a cut nonetheless. Then it's a second cut and a third cut, but because we excuse the behavior, because we justify these nasty corrosive attitudes, these really poor attitudes and behaviors from the narc, the sociopath and so on, we excuse and justify all these things. It entitles them to make more cuts. It entitles them to speed the avalanche descending process. It entitles them, it qualifies them to do so. You've given them permission, in other words. And you get another cut and another cut and another cut, and before you know it, your whole body is full of cuts, and you justified every single one of them. And then you wonder why there's gangrene in your arms, you wonder why there's gangrene in your legs and your toes, because you've allowed it. It's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. I know, I've done that one. And you are being killed by permission, because we justify these poor performances. We justify these poor attitudes. We justify the poor language. We justify the cuts. We justify the stimulation for this avalanche to take place in the first instance. And 10, 15, 20 years down the line, because they play the slow game, the narc does, the sociopath. They play the slow game, just like a hustler, very slow to convince you one day at a time. But the days are maybe 6, 7, 8 months, maybe a year apart. And then all of a sudden, as stated before, the concentration of these days and opportunities become less and less and less and less, till it becomes so frequent you've got no idea how to stop it. I would like to hear your thoughts regarding the avalanche effect, as I name it. Maybe you've experienced this yourself. I would like to hear what you have to say. Please comment in the comments box below, and please do all the YouTube admin: like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. Tell your friends, tell all your family. But for now, this is Mark from Avalanche Effect. I'll speak to you soon.